So, I want to ask you, Mom and Dad mentioned something about a social thing.
Oh yeah, I went to this mixer recently. It was at this LGBTQ center. They're all really cool. I could be good friends with them. And also, I think they may open up doors for me to find new friends as well and potentially a partner, a relationship.
I didn't know you had gotten to this, but this is a new happening.
Yeah,
You're open for the happening.
I'm really
I'm so
open.
excited
I'm
to
more
hear
open
that.
than ever.
Welcome back to the channel, guys. So this particular, we're going to kind of do two parts of this here. But yeah, in this episode, you see the title, How Does Jazz Feel About Having an O? And then the grandmother's here. Once again, what is up with this family? Like, I mean, I guess it's a question because of everything that's happened. So just so you know, people, that this is what comes with it. This constant obsession about the person having an O. So, you know, your kid, you're going to obsess about their sex life constantly. And apparently you're going to obsess about your grandkids' sex life too.
So, is this a soulmate or a sexual mate? Have you differentiated?
Grandma, do I look like a sexual being?
I'm not judging you. I'm truly.
So, I thought she was going to say, Grandma, this is a bit much. You know, what are you asking me here? I didn't expect to have this conversation with you. I thought I would have it with my girlfriends. Now, Jazz, I'm starting to think that the medicine also stunted Jazz's social development growth or something. I'm going to have to find studies about this because Jazz says, do I look like a sexual being? And all right, let's get real here. I think in this episode, Jazz is probably somewhere 16, 17. Definitely 17, because I think Jazz already had the surgery, if I'm not mistaken, or getting ready to have it. The thing is, that is the age when you are a sexual being, to the point where you have to be told, like, chill out, you know? So it's not a weird thought. And I'm not saying that parents shouldn't talk to their children about safe sex and things like that. But that's not what they're talking about here. They're like, how you feel about getting it up or getting it on? This is weird.
We're asking just to try to see where your thinking is.
I think,
or both.
No, Marcy Bowers, she said, I need to start figuring things out in terms of trying to have an orgasm. So, I mean, this isn't really my intention, but it could be a benefit of being in a relationship if I experience.
Being in a relationship, sex is not just a benefit. It is actually infused as a part of a relationship. A 16-year-old is not going to be able to understand how to necessarily communicate that in a very mature manner like I just did just now. A 16-year-old is going to be like, that's all I want to do. I mean, if they're allowed to have this conversation, like, you know what I mean? Like, they're allowed to have this conversation. I'll be like, oh, well, isn't that what we're supposed to do? Like, I can't stop. No, but you know what I mean? This one says that it's a benefit. And then some kook somewhere is going to be like, well, you know what? Hey, at least we don't have to worry about childhood pregnancies with these people. No. That's not how it's supposed to be done, guys. That's not how it's supposed to be done.
Experiment sexually, then maybe I'll find out what I like, and then I could have orgasms my entire life. Yay.
Oh, you have to miss a few days of school. See, I'm being facetious about it.
But I didn't even understand it either. This woman's weird. I don't understand. Like, you have to miss a few days of school. What does that mean? I didn't get it either. What are they promoting? Yo, I'm telling you, they are obsessed with this girl's sex life. But it is a part. It's almost like, all right, you had your tonsils taken out. Well, all right, I have my tonsils taken out. So now I need to know, am I going to, like, you know, be able to swallow appropriately? I mean, that's really kind of how it is for these people.
Like, girl, I don't need no allergic reaction on my vagina.
It could have been avoided. Dr. Shukoff got a list from Dr. Bowers of potential things that you could be allergic to that they use during the bottom surgery. After speaking to Chris, I realized I procrastinated because I feel like I have so much time. Oh, Jazz isn't going to have the surgery for quite some time. No, it's now.
I feel bad that Skylar had like a bad experience where she was in hives and red and like, girl, I don't need no allergic reaction on my vagina.
It could have been avoided if she had been allergy tested ahead of time. So We learn from her mistake.
These are the kind of things that you think about when you go to do things. They just call it a vagina. You should say on my wound, that is not a vagina. Don't get me wrong, irritation can happen anywhere, but these people are talking about the beginnings phase, like the prep for surgery, and so then now they're in a position where at any moment, their cavity can burst into blisters. I'm sorry, guys, that's just really what it is.
I can't dictate what happens in the OR. So this is at least something I can do to try to avoid any problems. So what do you think about what's going on with your brothers?
I think it's just obvious they're kind of going their own way a little bit because Griffin has a girlfriend.
But Griffin's like,
all right, so before we get into Jazz getting snubbed by the date, just real quick, I just want to let you guys know again, they are prepping for a serious surgery. It's a lot of cleaning that has to go on before you prep. You should really prep your immune system because there's a lot of cutting, slicing, and dicing, and there's a lot of attaching one piece of tissue to another piece of tissue that is not supposed to be there, and then your body really realizes that it's been anastomoted into two different places that it should not be. It's like, no, I need to heal. I'm not supposed to be inside here. I'm supposed to be out there, if you know what I mean.
My entire life. And even though indoor skydiving isn't looking at the earth, it's still good enough.
Hey, this is
Look at this.
No, I've been watching.
So this is Jazz going on a date with a girl. Because Jazz is going to get friend zoned, apparently.
How are you?
So Victoria and I decided to meet today, and even though Sandra's with me, I'm hoping that I'll get a little bit of clarity on what happened between us. We actually hung out multiple times. She made me feel like I was interesting and fun to be around, and I felt the same way about her.
Okay, let's have the discussion right now. Victoria's actually a really pretty girl. Later on, Victoria's going to actually just date girls. I mean, I don't know what Victoria is today, but later on in the show, Victoria comes back. Victoria's dating girl. Victoria's a pretty girl. She definitely has a nice head of hair. You notice things like that when you get older. Jazz, I've never seen Jazz smile at anybody like that before. As far as any of these little dates, maybe played around with Amir like that a little bit, but it was a play around. This child is shining. This is the look that I know I've given some man in my life, oh my God, yeah, what are you saying? Yeah. And Victoria's a female. And Jazz is a male. It makes sense. Jazz may not really be asexual. Jazz may be a heterosexual male.
Interesting and fun to be around, and I felt the same way about her. I just want to know if she's still interested in me.
Wait, so how did you guys meet again?
We were originally set up on a date. That's how we met.
I don't really know how I feel about joining Jazz on this date. Am I a third wheel? Is Jazz into?
Sandra's always a third wheel. I'm gonna start going into Sandra in this series, if you will. Sandra needs to be. We have to unpack Sandra.
Victoria, I don't really know.
I always kind of like people who can look past your physical anatomy and just see you for who you are as a person. That's why I respected you for giving me a chance at dating me, because you
in the history in the fairy tale books, but the fact is you got to be attracted to the person. That's where arousal comes from. Maybe it is their mind. Okay, Seal, I'm sorry to do this, I know, because I remember being younger, right? And let's just kind of get into this. It's kind of fun, actually. And I remember Seal would have all these pretty model girlfriends, and I was a little girl, so I have to use Seal because this is the thought that I had with Seal, okay? And God bless Seal. Seal has 2 scars, I think one on each cheek. It's part of the tribe that he was in. It's part of his culture. It's a thing, right? But as a little girl, I was like, how does this man have all these pretty girlfriends? And then I got older, and I've listened to Seal talk and his mannerisms, and and he's actually a very sexy man, But guess what? It's not about oh, I look past his looks. It's not that. It's still his physical. It's how his aura steps out of his physical body. Trust me, it's still his physical. It's not one of those things too where I'm looking at him and I'm like, I mean, I guess I could get past that face. No, how he carries himself as a masculine male, with a sexiness to him. makes the face now very sexy. So I get it. That's not what this girl's talking about here. Jazz is talking about, and I'm gonna say girl, you know, I go back and forth with Jazz. Jazz is saying, don't pay attention to my body because I don't even know what's going on with it. Just listen to my mind. It doesn't work like that. You have to be, even if you feel like you a busted looking person, if you carry yourself with a certain confidence in your body, you can get anybody you want.
You didn't care about that. You just were like, you're Jazz, and I want to get to know you as a person.
Being transgender and dating must be hard, but that doesn't mean you can't find somebody, you know? Yes, there are people who won't want to be in a relationship with her because of that, but there's also people who don't care like me and really just see past it.
So, have you been dating anyone else?
Yes, I have a girlfriend.
Well, there's my clarity. How long have you been together?
Not that long, actually.
Do you like her?
I mean, yeah, if I'm in a relationship with her.
Oh, you gotta like the person. How long have you known her for?
Not that long.
I'm still not dating.
So we got a thing going on here. Let's just look at the faces. These two are the same age. This child has a very defined face as a 17-year-old teenager. Very pretty face. Still, you see it, right? It's a growing up face. I'm trying to find perfect. Oh, this is a stunted boy with a wig on. Of course, she has a girlfriend. She's into the alternative lifestyle. So, but if she's gonna be with a girl, or if she's gonna be with a trans girl, it's not gonna be one that's been stunted with puberty blockers from they were 11, you know, when they were a child, and still have this stunted face. Jazz is kind of coming out of that face now, a tad bit, but it never looks like an actual like person like this. Jazz doesn't even look like a Blair White. Jazz still has the rounded type infantile face a little bit, but she's not going to be with this kind of girl because you're not a girl. You're a boy that your mother sadly indoctrinated you into a terrible existence. Even if you are feeling good in it sometimes, but it's just a limbo. And there's a lot of medication, everything that went into it where you can even develop, at least if this child would have developed and then started doing the changes, they would have that Blair White look. But they don't. And that's not what people are into. They're not into stunted kid look. I'll see you at the next video. Bye.